Have you ever laid down, got comfy in your bed, settled into the sheets, and just as you're about to drift off, inspiration strikes? You're scrambling for a pen, paper, your phone, anything to catch the idea before it escapes. In February, after a late night of chatting, I laid down in my half awake state and had a thought. What if there was a story about a man, a woman, a bar, a mystery, a visual novel? I sleepily jotted down my stream of thoughts into my phone, and that's where my game, A Week in Paradise, begins. Hi, I'm Atrikia, and I've been working on my 2D interactive fiction game for about 9 months now. In A Week in Paradise, you play as Damien, a struggling writer who stumbles on a bar titularly named Paradise. You meet a jazz singer named Charlene, and from there, you dive deep into how ideas and your relationships start bringing up more and more questions about your past. It's mostly a conversation game based on similar games like Catherine, Valhalla, and Coffee Talk. In these games, it's the one-on-one dialogue that really makes up its core, and to me, that's where most of the drama and emotion come from. While at the same time, there's an atmosphere of familiarity and personal connection when you're in the driver's seat of half the conversation. And there's just something about a bar, a coffee shop, sitting around a table, enjoying a drink, and opening up that evokes this coziness, this sense of immersion. So I knew the vibe I was going for, but at this point, the plot was nothing more than a few lines my brain spit out, and I was barely awake. So while it's not be my magnum opus of my budding game dev career, it is quite literally my dream game. When I started my game document, which has grown to over 18,000 words, I knew this game had to mean something with where the narrative was going. I want this game to encourage people to lean on each other, to find their community, to find their family. I think there's a real power in it, because I don't think we should be going through all this stuff alone. And it's the resilience that's been motivating me on this game dev journey. I actually started as a botanist out of college, and no, don't ask me about mushrooms. But with the disability I developed in 2019, I had to pivot careers because, unfortunately, without a PhD in botany, you're stuck pulling weeds in the mountains. I finished a web development degree this summer, and I've been enjoying coding just as much as plants, so game dev has kind of been a natural path. I've always liked storytelling, but this isn't exactly my first rodeo. Back in 2020, yikes, I joined a ragtag group of fans to spend the better half of the next 3 years directing an entire fan game. It's far from perfect, but I'm proud of what we were able to accomplish, with having no idea what we were doing. If you're curious, link in the description. With that behind me, I felt so inspired to do it again, but this time solo. And solo dev has been so gratifying. I had worked in Ren'Py for 3 years, but after fleshing out my ideas, this game felt like there was more I wanted to do with than Ren'Py could provide. And don't get me wrong, Ren'Py is a fantastic game engine. I could have made the game with it, but I stumbled on RPG Maker when VX Ace was free on Steam. And I was so interested. I grew up watching Let's Plays of the greats like To the Moon, Ib, Mad Father, Quartz Party, Wackwin, and never really played with the game engine directly, so I dove in. Development was rough at first. A whole new workflow to learn, but it was fun. And look at what that got me. Well, really not much. I'd also never done pixel art before, so literally everything was new. I soon transferred to RPG Maker MV and kept going. Finding new communities I'd never heard of, and new friends. By March, and about 300 hours of RPG Maker under my belt, I released a demo to a small group of people to understand where I needed to go. This was the beginning of a bubbling frustration coming to the surface. Now, RPG Maker is a great beginner engine, especially for those who don't know how to code, but I do know how to code, and in my opinion, it's inherently restrictive and flawed. So, unless you are dedicated to learning the scripts with no official documentation, you have to rely on community resources. And I had already been hearing about Godot, whispering sweet nothings on my shoulder, videos of amazing indie devs flooding my feeds, so I made the plunge, transferred to Go in May. It's been a huge undertaking. You don't realize what you have to make from the ground up, all the things that don't get seen. Player movement, options, the start button, it's insane. Needless to say, I have been loving it. It's so modular and freeing, And I think if I make another game, I'm sticking with it. Now, where does this leave me? Well, the demo's out now. It's crazy to think I got this far, even with the struggles. So go play it and tell me what you think. I'll be here in my dev cave, toiling away at the rest of the game. If you're interested in coming on this journey with me, you can wishlist the game and follow me on Blue Sky. I'll see you around the next devlog. Until then, remember to stretch and eat an ice cream for me.